Hello, my name is Mark Neal and I own Castle Rock Bike and Ski. Today we're going to talk about what a performance bicycle tune is and how it relates to a road bike as well as a mountain bike. The first thing we do with any bicycle tune-up is we make sure we check the air pressure on the tires and make sure it's the correct air pressure for the tire itself as well as for the size of the rider. We then move on to doing a safety check on every bicycle. That includes making sure that every bolt on the bicycle is torqued to the correct specification, including the stem, the cranks, as well as any through axles on the wheels, or if it's a quick release axle, we make sure it's adjusted correctly. We then move on to adjusting all of the hubs on the bicycle as far as the bearing surfaces. So we're talking the hubs of the bicycle, the headset, as well as the bearing surface on the crankset. We then move on to truing and tensioning the wheels. This means making sure that the wheels are straight, round, and that the tension of the spokes is to the correct tension so that the wheel spins smoothly and is very stable for the given rider. Next, we move on to adjusting both the brakes, front and rear, whether they're a disc brake system or rim brake system. We then move on to adjusting the front and rear derailleur of the drivetrain, making sure that the bike shifts smoothly through all of its gears, regardless of what gear combination you are in. We then clean and lubricate the chain, as well as lubricate all of the cables on the bicycle. And then in the case of a mountain bike, we make sure that all of the suspension settings are set correctly. Most modern mountain bikes come with a suspension fork, and full suspension bikes have a rear shock on them. What we want to make sure is we're taking the information for the rider and the type of riding style that they have, and we're using that information to make sure that the air pressure settings are done correctly on the bicycle for both the front fork as well as the rear shock. And then we also make sure all of the dampening settings for both compression and rebound dampening match the riding style of the given rider. And then lastly, as we take the bicycle out and do the test ride, we want to make sure that all of the ergonomic positions of the bicycle are correct for that given rider. That includes making sure that the brakes are adjusted to the correct position as well as the correct reach for the size of the rider and their hands, making sure that any shifters are adjusted correctly as far as on the handlebars so that it feels very natural when you're riding the bicycle. And then lastly, we want to make sure the saddle is set to the correct height as well as to making sure that's level for that given rider. So those are all the things that are incorporated in a performance bicycle tune at Castle Rock Bike and Ski.